Holy moly. Do I have another Buspar video for you? Okay. Gosh, this is probably the weirdest version of this that you've ever seen. These drug these drug testimonial videos. Anywho, dads. It is week 5. I'm on week 5, going on 6, I believe, of my Buspar. 1 week into Wellbutrin. So this is a crossover episode of your pharmacological dreams. 5 weeks on Buspar, what did I say? And 1 week on Wellbutrin. Okay, so here's what I gotta say. At the end of week 4, the Buspar, kind of as per promised, really did hit some sort of like really nice level place. Sometimes high ups and downs, of course, during that whole trajectory up to the week 4, but then week 4 hit, and then I was just like, honestly, even up to the day, like week 3 and 6 days, I was like, I don't know about this junk. I don't know if I'm going to keep this in my body. And I even messaged my psychiatrist. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know. I'll give it I'll see it through, but I'm thinking about getting off this stuff. And then the very next day, week 4, I had a really good day. And it continued to be like that. And then very shortly after, I got a prescription for Wellbutrin, which are bupropion, which I believe is the other generic name for it. But I'll say why. So I took Buspar because at the time I was suffering from anxiety, which I've suffered my whole entire life. And then I started suffering from depression, which was a new thing for me. I've always been anxious my whole life, nothing new. Like in elementary school, like at kindergarten, cried every day, quick to cry, very anxious child. My family life was very tumultuous and crazy, a lot of arguing, screaming constantly. I was like this sort of peacemaker child because I was like, everyone just calm the F down. And so I just was very very anxious child. So nothing new, but I was about ready. I was about over it. But the thing that really drove me to go seek some help, go seek some medicine, was the depression. I'd never been depressed before, and I got to the point where I had suicide ideations, and then my very worst, I was actually starting to plan. When you start planning, there's different levels of suicidation, or when you're starting to contemplate suicide. There's sort of steps along the way. And when you call a suicide hotline, sorry, this is dark, and I hope you're not triggered by this at all. But they ask you, like, on a scale of 1 to 5, how likely are you to commit suicide? And 1 being like, not at all, and 5 being like, it's going down. And at my worst, I was at a 3. So I was like starting to plan it out. Pretty dark stuff, but in just being transparent here, trying to be real. So it got really, really bad. It got really bad. This is the worst, it's ever been. So I did everything, as one should. I think I exercise, I ate right. I got a support system. I was doing therapy, and then the last piece of this puzzle was seeing a psychiatrist about getting medication. I wasn't thrilled about getting medication. I never really believed in it, to be completely honest. I thought it was kind of just some sort of garbage, but it can help, which is what this is all about. Anywho, I got to this really dark place, talked to my psychiatrist. She said, maybe your anxiety has really gotten to a certain boiling point where now it's starting to develop and manifest as this depression, as a sort of like debilitating, dangerous depression. So I was like, all right, I'm freaking desperate. Let's do this. Let's do something about it. And so the first thing was, we're going to try to take care of this anxiety. So I went the Buspar route versus like a Zoloft or an SSRI that might try to tackle the depression directly. So I went the anxiety route, took the Buspar. Now leading up to week 4, my anxiety hit this place where At that one moment in time, who knows what's going to happen to me later, but at that moment in time, it really softened out, and it kind of dissipated more than it's kind of ever dissipated in my life. And so, but my depression was still kicking. It was still lingering. And so I told my psychiatrist, I go, you know what? I know this theory that we had with the anxiety leading to depression, but now that my anxiety is gone and my depression is like still there, rearing its ugly depression head, I was like, I think they're separate. I think the depression is its own thing. So I did my research and I talked to my psychiatrist, and I thought, well, Butrin might be the way to go because it is more easy to discontinue if you don't like it. There's less side effects. When taking it, generally speaking. And less side effects, so easier to discontinue if you needed to. And so I kind of liked what I heard. So bupropion or Wellbutrin is an NDRI, so it's norepinephrine and a dopamine reuptake inhibitor. So it only affects dopamine and norepinephrine, not serotonin. And I think oftentimes a lot of side effects are associated with serotonin manipulation in the brain. So I was like, okay, now that the anxiety is somewhat diminished, I'm gonna see if I can tackle this depression. And so I went on the Wellbutrin, and I think I'm gonna make a whole other video about that because this one's more Buspar focused, more Buspar centric. So the Buspar, now that I'm in week 5, has been really now even gaining more steam. It's subtle, so it's very subtle at first, and then it continues to be pretty subtle. It's hard to know and really detect the difference. That's the thing about consciousness. When you're in a different state of consciousness, it's hard to know where you came from. And a lot of people don't even realize how far they've come until they discontinue a drug and they go like, oh, okay, that was really helping me out quite a bit. So don't be dissuaded. Don't be turned away from the medication if it seems like very, very, very subtle in the beginning. Subtle is good. Subtle is what you want. You don't want to just be like basically wasted on this medication. You want it to be subtle. That's more sustainable. So, start slow, low and slow, I'd say, as my non-expert opinion. Just put that out there. So feeling pretty good. Hopefully, knock on wood, this continues, and or just kind of hopefully stays a little bit where it's at, and I'll make a Wellbutrin video after this. So if you are on week 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 and you're kind of struggling a little bit, I'd say hang in there. If you're having like really bad reactions to it, that was not my experience, so maybe talk to your pharmacist about it. My side effects at the very worst were headaches. It's not too gnarly, but some pretty aggressive headaches, and tiny bit of nausea. And then week 3 and 4, my appetite actually went up, interestingly enough, and I was eating a lot, and then I was like, I don't like this. But then I was like trying to calm myself down about that. Trying to still eat right, still exercise, try to get as much sleep as I can. And then my last thing that I'll mention with the Buspar is there's a lot of, again, I'm not a trained health professional, but there's some literature out there about the mixing of Buspar and melatonin. Melatonin, as you know, is a sleep aid. It's also a natural hormone or chemical that we make in our brain. I think this is the pineal gland that releases the melatonin that allows us to sleep when it gets dark. That's why they say avoid blue light, because blue light will kind of stop the production of melatonin and therefore will keep you up at night. Not a good idea. So, but the combination of melatonin and Buspar or Busparone is shown to be pretty beneficial as far as enhancing cognitive function and just like getting the most positive effects out of your Buspar administration or prescription. So I was taking 5 milligrams of melatonin a night. I think sometimes that can actually be too much for people. I'm a pretty big dude. I don't know if that matters at all. I think I probably have the same, more or less the same brain size as of you, if not smaller. So 5 milligrams is a good place where I started. If you're maybe smaller than me or sensitive melatonin, like maybe start at 3 or 2 milligrams. You can sometimes open the capsules and like empty them out a little bit. So I did a little bit of melatonin with my Buspar, and again, so far so good. So I hope this has been somehow helpful and not just some massive late night ramble with me, but thank you for sticking in there. 10 minutes, that's a lot. It's a big ask on the internets as they are now. Your attention spans generally are like TikTok long. So thanks, guys. Hang in there. I wish you the best. Do everything you can to help yourselves. Exercise, eat right, get support, call who you need to call. And don't feel the stigma of taking medication. It is risky, but sometimes you got to risk it to get the biscuit, as my fellow student friend would say. And I'm in nursing school, so that's what he would say all the time. So anyway, take care of yourself. I'll have another video for you later.